The late 13th century was a time of great change in Anatolia. The region, rich in history and culture, was undergoing a significant transformation. The once dominant powers were waning and new forces were emerging, ready to carve out their own destinies. The Seljuk Sultanate of Rum, which had once ruled over a vast empire, was crumbling. This decline was not sudden, but rather a gradual process marked by internal strife, economic difficulties and external pressures. The grandeur of the Seljuks was fading, leaving behind remnants of their architectural and cultural achievements. In its place, many small Turkish states known as beyliks emerged. These beyliks were diverse in their origins and ambitions, each led by a chieftain with dreams of power and glory. They were scattered across Anatolia, each vying for dominance in a landscape that was as challenging as it was promising. These beyliks were constantly vying for power and territory. The competition was fierce, with alliances forming and breaking as quickly as they were made. Battles were frequent, and the landscape was often marked by the scars of conflict. Yet, amidst this chaos, there was also a sense of opportunity for those bold enough to seize it. One such beylik, led by a young and ambitious leader named Osman Gazi, would rise to prominence and lay the foundation for one of the most powerful empires the world had ever seen, the Ottoman Empire. Osman Gazi was not just a warrior, he was a visionary, capable of seeing beyond the immediate struggles to a future where his people could thrive. These were turbulent times. The constant state of warfare and the shifting alliances created an environment where only the strongest and most cunning could survive. The landscape was dotted with the remnants of battles, a testament to the relentless pursuit of power that characterized this era. The Mongols, having swept across Asia, had dealt a crushing blow to the Seljuk Sultanate, leaving a power vacuum in their wake. Their invasions were brutal and swift, leaving behind a trail of destruction that reshaped the political landscape of the region. The Mongols' insatiable hunger for conquest left a trail of destruction, but it also created an opportunity for ambitious new leaders to rise. The devastation they wrought was immense, but it also cleared the way for new powers to emerge from the ashes of the old. Osman Gazi, a skilled warrior and shrewd politician, saw this opportunity and seized it with both hands. He was not just a leader of men, but a strategist who understood the complexities of the political landscape. His ability to navigate these challenges set him apart from his contemporaries. Osman Gazi's beylik was located in the northwestern region of Anatolia, strategically positioned near the Byzantine Empire, the once mighty power that had ruled over much of the eastern Mediterranean for centuries. This location was crucial, offering both opportunities and challenges that would shape the future of his nascent state. The Byzantine Empire was a shadow of its former glory, weakened by internal strife, economic decline, and constant attacks from its neighbors. The once great empire was struggling to maintain its territories, and its vulnerabilities were becoming increasingly apparent to those who sought to exploit them. Osman Gazi recognized the vulnerability of the Byzantine Empire and saw an opportunity to expand his own territory at its expense. His strategic acumen allowed him to identify key weaknesses and exploit them, gradually increasing his influence and control over the region. The stage was set for a clash of civilizations, a battle that would determine the fate of Anatolia and shape the course of history for centuries to come. This was not just a struggle for land, but a contest of ideologies, cultures, and visions for the future. The outcome of these conflicts would resonate through the ages, influencing the development of the region and the world beyond. Osman Gazi, the founder of the Ottoman Empire, was a man of great ambition, courage, and vision. His story is one of determination, strategic brilliance, and an unwavering belief in his destiny. Born into a noble Turkish family, Osman inherited a small beylik from his father, Ertugrul. This beylik was modest in size, but it was rich in potential and strategically located. However, Osman was not content with simply ruling over a small territory. He had grander aspirations and a vision that extended far beyond the borders of his inherited land. He dreamt of building a vast empire that would stretch across Anatolia and beyond. This dream was fueled by his understanding of the region's political landscape and the opportunities it presented. From a young age, Osman proved himself to be a skilled warrior and a charismatic leader. His early exploits in battle and his ability to inspire his men set him apart from other leaders of his time. He quickly gained the loyalty and respect of his followers, who were inspired by his vision of a powerful and united Turkish state. His charisma and leadership were instrumental in rallying his people to his cause. Osman was also a devout Muslim, and he instilled in his followers a strong sense of purpose and destiny. His faith was a cornerstone of his leadership, guiding his decisions and actions. They believed that they were fighting for a righteous cause, and this belief fueled their determination and bravery on the battlefield. The sense of divine mission made them formidable opponents. Osman Gazi understood that in order to achieve his ambitions, he would need to expand his territory and consolidate his power. This required not only military might, but also strategic alliances and shrewd diplomacy. He recognized that the Byzantine Empire, despite its weakened state, posed the greatest obstacle to his ambitions. The Byzantines controlled key fortresses and cities that were crucial for Osman's expansion plans. The Byzantine Empire controlled key trade routes and possessed vast resources that Osman needed to build his empire. Securing these routes would not only enhance his economic power, but also his strategic position. Osman's ambition was not driven by mere greed or lust for power. He saw himself as a unifier and a leader, destined to bring together the Turkish tribes under one banner. He genuinely believed that he was destined to create a great empire that would unite the Turkish people and spread the Islamic faith. This belief was deeply ingrained in his identity and mission. This vision, combined with his military prowess and political acumen, would transform a small beylik into a mighty empire. Osman's legacy is a testament to his extraordinary leadership and unwavering determination. The Byzantine Empire, once the eastern heart of the Roman Empire, had stood for over 1,000 years, a beacon of civilization and Christianity in the East. Its capital, Constantinople, was a marvel of architecture and culture, a city that symbolized the empire's grandeur and resilience. The empire's influence stretched across vast territories, encompassing diverse peoples and cultures, and it played a crucial role in preserving the knowledge and traditions of the ancient world. However, by the 13th century, the empire was a pale shadow of its former glory. The once thriving cities were now filled with ruins, and the grandeur of the past was fading into memory. The empire's borders had shrunk significantly, and its influence had waned. The Byzantine Empire, which had once been a dominant force in the Mediterranean, was now struggling to maintain its sovereignty and protect its remaining territories. Centuries of constant warfare, internal strife, and economic decline had taken their toll. The empire had faced invasions from all sides, including the Persians, Arabs, and later the Seljuk Turks. Each conflict drained the empire's resources and weakened its defenses. Internal power struggles and political corruption further destabilized the state, making it difficult to mount a unified defense against external threats. The once mighty Byzantine army was a fraction of its former size, its treasury was depleted, and its emperors were often weak and ineffective. The military, which had once been a formidable force, was now struggling to defend the empire's diminishing borders. The lack of strong leadership and the constant need for funds to support the war efforts left the empire vulnerable to both internal and external threats. The Fourth Crusade in 1204 had dealt a mortal blow to the Byzantine Empire. Originally intended to reclaim Jerusalem from Muslim control, the Crusaders were diverted to Constantinople due to a series of political and financial manipulations. This diversion would have catastrophic consequences for the Byzantine Empire. The Crusaders, instead of fighting Muslims in the Holy Land, sacked Constantinople, the empire's magnificent capital city. The city was subjected to 3 days of brutal looting and destruction. Priceless treasures were stolen, and many of the city's inhabitants were killed or enslaved. The once great city was left in ruins, and the empire's prestige was irreparably damaged. This act of treachery weakened the empire irrevocably, leaving it vulnerable to its enemies. The loss of Constantinople was a blow from which the empire would never fully recover. The weakened state of the empire invited further attacks from neighboring powers, each eager to carve out their own piece of the once great Byzantine territory. While the Byzantines managed to regain control of Constantinople in 1261, the empire never truly recovered from this devastating blow. The city was rebuilt, but it never regained its former splendor. The empire's resources were stretched thin, and it struggled to maintain control over its remaining territories. The once unified empire was now a fragmented and weakened state, constantly under threat from both internal and external forces. Despite its decline, the Byzantine Empire still controlled important territories in Anatolia, including the city of Bursa, a major economic and strategic center. These territories were vital for the empire's economy and provided a buffer against further invasions. However, the empire's ability to defend these territories was increasingly in doubt. These territories were a tempting prize for the ambitious Osman Gazi, who saw an opportunity to expand his own realm at the expense of the weakened empire. Osman, the founder of the Ottoman Empire, was a shrewd and capable leader. He recognized the strategic importance of the Byzantine territories and sought to exploit the empire's vulnerabilities to further his own ambitions. The Byzantines, for their part, underestimated the growing power of the Ottomans, viewing them as just another minor threat among many. This complacency would prove to be a grave mistake. The Ottomans were not just another enemy, they were a rising power with the potential to reshape the political landscape of the region. This miscalculation would prove to be a fatal error. The Byzantines failed to recognize the true threat posed by the Ottomans until it was too late. Their strategic errors and underestimation of their enemy would lead to a series of defeats that would hasten the empire's decline. The Battle of Eğrigöz would expose the true extent of the Byzantine decline and mark the beginning of the end for their once mighty empire. This battle was a clear demonstration of the Ottomans' growing military prowess and the Byzantines' inability to effectively counter this new threat. The defeat at Eğrigöz was a harbinger of the many losses to come, signaling the inexorable fall of the Byzantine Empire. The Battle of Eğrigöz, fought in 1285 near the present-day city of Bilakik in Turkey, was a pivotal moment in the early history of the Ottoman Empire. This battle, although relatively small in scale compared to later Ottoman conquests, had far-reaching consequences. It marked the beginning of the Ottoman Empire's rise to prominence and signaled the inevitable decline of Byzantine power in Anatolia. The battle took place in a strategically important region, controlling vital trade routes and access to fertile lands. For Osman Gazi, it was an opportunity to strike a decisive blow against the Byzantine Empire and secure his own borders. For the Byzantines, it was a chance to crush the rising power of the Ottomans and maintain their dwindling influence in the region. The Byzantines, though weakened, still commanded a formidable army composed of seasoned soldiers and heavily armored cavalry. They underestimated the Ottomans, viewing them as a band of lightly armed raiders rather than a serious military threat. This underestimation would prove to be a costly mistake, as Osman Gazi had a surprise in store for them. The stage was set for a clash that would determine the fate of Anatolia and shape the course of history for centuries to come.